Hello and welcome. My name is Salome Ashby, and together with my group members, we are excited to present a series of hands-on interactive teaching aids designed to make primary school mathematics both fun and meaningful. We have constructed the following teaching aids: a circular geoboard, a rectangular geoboard, a fraction wheel, a 1-meter trundle wheel, an attribute logic set, a mathematical balance, a set of Chinese tangram, a set of volumetric measuring instrument, and an innovative teaching aid. In this video, we will be showing you how each of these tools can be used to teach key mathematical concepts across 4 different grade levels in primary school. Join us as we explore how these practical, learner-friendly tools can help bring mathematics to life.
Hello everyone, I'm Miss Edwards, and here with me I have a trundle wheel.
I'll be sharing with you the use of the trundle wheel to teach 4 different concepts at 4 different grade levels, grades 1, 2, 3, and 4.
So what exactly is a trundle wheel? Now a trundle wheel is a simple measuring tool that is used to measure relatively long, flat surfaces,
Such as roads, sidewalks, the playground, and even in the classroom a trundle wheel can be used.
Now at a grade 1 level, you can use a trundle wheel to teach measuring length. Example, you can use it to measure the length of a classroom. Now at the grade 2 level, we can use the trundle wheel to teach simple addition. Let's say for example, you walk 4 meters to the front of the class and 7 meters to the back of the class. When you add it together, how many meters you get altogether? Simple addition. Now at the grade 3 level, you can also use a trundle wheel to teach perimeter. You can have them go outside and measure the distance around the school, the length and the width. And finally, at the grade 4 level, you can use a trundle wheel to teach conversion of meters to centimeters. For example, you roll the wheel 5 meters. How many centimeters is that? Now you do the conversion. So we can do that at the grade 4 level. So there we have it, the use of a trundle wheel at the 4 different levels, teaching 4 different concepts. Thank you.
Hello everyone, today I will be using a fractional wheel to demonstrate how we can use it to teach 4 different concepts across 4 different grade levels. The grade levels I will be focusing on is grade 1, 2, 3, and 4. This is a fractional wheel that is made by yours truly. And to begin with, so at grade 1 we can use this fractional wheel to introduce fractions where we can have the pupils identifying parts of a whole. Simple fractions like half and quarter. So for example, pupils can take turns to spin the wheel, and whatever it lands on, they would be able to say what fraction this is representing. So at the grade 2 level, another concept that we can use this fractional wheel to teach is writing and representing fractions. Now here we can have the pupils take turns and spin the wheel, and wherever it stops, they will be given a chance to write to show whatever this shape is representing. Now this is an ideal method that can be used in a lesson introduction or a reflection to see how much the pupils have grasped. So at the grade 3 level, another concept that we can use this fractional wheel to teach is comparing fractions. Here we can have 2 pupils to take turns to spin the wheel and have them comparing 2 diagrams on the fractional wheel to say which is greater and which is less. These are visual representation, and they'll be able to help the pupils to show which is less and which is greater. And finally, at the grade 4 level, we can incorporate this fractional wheel in our fraction lessons to teach addition of fractions, where the pupils can take turn again to spin the wheel, and wherever it stops, they'll be given a chance to add the two fractions. Let's say, for example, if it lands in 6/8 and a half, they will have to add the two fractions. So there we have it, where we can use this fractional wheel to teach 4 different concepts across 4 different grade levels. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Miss Renelle Semple, and I am going to be talking to you about attribute logic sets and how we can use them to teach within the grades of 1 to 4. Now, in your mind, you may wonder, what is an attribute logic set? Now, an attribute logic set is a group of shapes or objects that belongs together. Now, why do they belong together? Because they share the same feature or rules. Now, here with me are some attributes logic sets. Now, we say that they share the same features or rules, such as shapes, size, color, etc. Now, how can we use these sets to teach grade 1? Now, for grade 1, we have representing numbers. Now, if we have the number 1, we can have one attribute logic set to represent the number 1. And if we have the number 2, we can have 2 attribute logic set to represent the number 2. Now, in grade 2, we can use these shapes to teach plane shapes. Now, we could use these shapes to help learners identify plane shapes, such as triangle, square, rectangle, and circle. Now, for grade 3, we can use these shapes to teach comparing or grouping objects. We can compare or group objects by longer or shorter, heavier or lighter, more or less. For grade 4, we could use it to teach fractions. We could fold the attribute logic set into halves, quarters, thirds, or we could even use it to represent an whole. Now let me show you how I went about creating these attribute logic sets. I drew each shape individually, then marked it out with a black marker. Then I cut each shape individually again. Took some glue and pasted on the foam. Then I cut each shape out individually.
Hi everyone, my name is Ms. Dankamari Singh, and here I have a rectangular tube board. What is a rectangular tube board? A rectangular tube board is a mathematical tool that can be used to teach basic concepts in geometry. We can use this tool to teach the identification of shapes. We can also use it to explore the concepts of area and perimeter. So as you can see here, the rectangular tube board is a rectangular board with little pegs, and the students can use they could use rubber bands to make different shapes. So today I am going to demonstrate how to use this rectangular tube board to teach 4 different lessons at 4 different grades. So first we're going to start with grade 1. Here you can have the pupils make basic 2D shapes such as a square, rectangle, triangles, and you can have the pupils differentiate between these shapes. You can have them counting the different sides and corners, and you can ask questions to see if they understand the basic difference between these 2D shapes. So next we can use the rectangular geoboard to teach fractions in the grade 2 level. This is where the child creates different 2D shapes and they divide the shapes into different fractions. And then they write the different fractions that they divided. For instance, here the child made a rectangle and he divided it in half, so then he wrote it here. In addition to that, the rectangular geoboard can be used to explore the concept of perimeter at the grade 2 level. This is where the child can create different shapes and calculate the distance around each shape. For instance, here he is adding all the units together to find the distance between this rectangle, or as we know it as calculating the perimeter. Last but not least, the rectangular geoboard can be used to teach the basic concept of area to the grade 4 pupils. Area is equal to length times breadth. So here the child is calculating the different units and he's multiplying to find the area in the shape.
Hi everyone, I am Chanel Fraser and I am tasked with constructing a circular geoboard, a teaching aid for primary school mathematics. Now, what is a circular geoboard? A circular geoboard is a round board with pegs arranged in a circle used for making shapes and exploring geometry by stretching rubber bands around the pegs. Now I will be demonstrating on the 4 different grades how to use a circular geoboard. The first grade I'll be looking at is grade 2. I'll be looking at plane shape, and that plane shape will be a triangle. So I connect the rubber band from the center to one peg, from the center again to another peg, from a peg to another peg, and there I have a triangle. For grade 3, we'll be looking at line of symmetry. So from this same plane shape, we are going to find a line of symmetry. So we connect this rubber band from the center to the end, and there we have our line of symmetry for the triangle. For grade 4, we'll be looking at angles. We will be constructing or making a right angle triangle. So from this point to another, and there we have a right angle triangle. Then we could also have a obtuse angle. Connect there from the center again, and we could have a obtuse angle. And finally, for grade 5, we'll be looking at parts of a circle. Now we were looking at 2 parts of a circle. Connect to the center. This part is what you call the sector. We could also create the chord of a circle from one point there, and this here is the chord. Now, there I have demonstrated 4 different ways on the 4 different grades how to use a circular geoboard.
And today I am excited to present to you an innovative teaching aid that I have created for primary school mathematics. This diorama is called Shape City. When we observe the world around us, we notice that everything from buildings to roads is made up of different shapes. Shape City brings the idea to life by modeling a mini city using a variety of geometric shapes. It is designed to teach mathematics across multiple grade levels in a fun and hands-on way. Let me demonstrate to you how Shape City can be used across 4 different grades. So, the first level we're going to look at is grade 1. At this level, children are introduced to plane shapes, which is also called flat shapes, such as square, rectangle, circle, and triangle. Using this diorama, the teacher can guide pupils in identifying these shapes in different buildings. For example, when we looked at the school, we can see the roof is a combination of both a square and a rectangle. Also, when we looked at the pathway, we can see it have the shape of a rectangle. Next, we're going to go over to grade 2.
Okay.
Are introduced to solid shapes like cubes, cylinder, cones, spheres, and so much more. Again, the diorama provides visual and tangible examples. When we look at the playground, we can see there's a tower here. When we look at the tower, at the base of the tower, it's a cylinder. At the top of the tower, we can see it's a cone. When we look over to the hospital, we can also see a cube, and back to the playground, we can see a pyramid. So this diorama can also be used to show solid shapes. Moving on, we're going to go to grade 3. In grade 3, the focus shifts to perimeter, which is a distance around the shape. The teacher can guide pupils to calculate the perimeter of buildings in Shape City. Take the hospital, for example. Let's say the roof is made up of 4 sides. Now, the sides, the length of each side is 3 centimeters long. So when we're doing perimeter, we had 3 centimeter plus 3 centimeter plus 3 centimeter plus 3 centimeter, which will be equal to 12 centimeters.
Go.
This reinforces the addition and perimeter concept. Finally, we're going to move all the way to grade 6. By grade 6, pupils learn how to form solid shapes from nets, which are flat patterns that folds into 3D shapes. With Shape City, the teacher can guide learners to predict the net of buildings. For instance, this unfold shape is made up of triangle and circle. When we fold this together, we have a cone. Now for the cube, when we unfold the cube, it have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 squares. Now when we fold this together, the squares are connected to form a cube. Shape City is more than just a project. It's an interactive tool that brings math concept and link it to real-life experiences.
Good afternoon, colleagues. Ms. Nafisa Hatram here. I will now be presenting to you the mathematical balance. First of all, what is a mathematical balance? It's basically a tool which can be used to express inequality or equality between variables or expressions, working similarly to a scale balance. This can be used at various levels. Example, at grades 1 and 2. Now for grades 1, we are now introducing them to the concept of mass. Can use non-standard measurements which can guide them with a mathematical balance using the concept of heavy or light. Now using various objects from their environment, they can use them, place them in the pans or in the scales of a mathematical balance to tell which objects will be heavy, which objects can be light. For example, we have crayons, 5 crayons, 5 chalk, by putting them into the balance scale. So we put the 5 crayons on one side and we put the 5 chalk in the other side. They look now to see the side that went down. Based on the observation here, they will say that okay, the crayons took the scale down, and they can come up with their answer that crayons, 5 crayons, are heavier than 5 sticks of chalk. Now, as it relates to grades 3 and 4, we can still use the same topic, mass, but we're focusing on the concept of addition and subtraction of mass. In most cases, this balance can help children who are slow with problem solving. Now, let's say they are given a simple word problem. Mother needs 5 kilograms of cheese to make a pizza. However, she only has 3 kilograms. How many more kilograms of cheese does she need to make the pizza? Now, looking at the numbers in the problem, we will represent the kilogram of cheese using marbles. So we have 5 kilograms of cheese, which is what the recipe requires. However, from this recipe, mother only has 3 of that kilogram. They keep adding to the scale until they realize that it's equal. When they're finished, they look into the one which they added, check to see how many marbles was added inside of that scale, and there they can find their answer using the mathematical balance. Now at the grades 5 and 6 level, they will work with a much more difficult concept. Now let's say, for example, we want to introduce the concept of linear equations. Add 2 marbles to the other side, therefore that makes it 6. Basically, how linear equation works, whatever you do on one side must be done on the other side. So if I add 2 marbles over there, I must also have 2 marbles over there, making it balanced. So
Volumetric measuring instruments are tools used to measure volume and capacity. Today I will demonstrate to you how to use volumetric measuring instruments. Here I have my measuring cup, my funnel, my graduated cylinder. I'm using a bottle from the environment, my pipette, my solvents. I have salt and dilute water. We will mix the two to make a solution. Here I am placing my salt into my measuring cup with my dilute water. Using my pipette, I will mix in order for the salt to dissolve. After mixing, now using a funnel, I will pour my solution into my graduated cylinder. What you want to do is to make sure you wash out your beaker. In this case, I'm washing out my measuring cup and my pipette. Now, I will pour more dilute water into my graduated cylinder. Slowly. Make sure to keep eye contact. We will be pouring the dilute water until it's 1 centimeter by the calibration line. Now, using my pipette, I will put droplets of water until the solution is under the meniscus. Now it's make sure to keep it at eye level. Look, so it's almost there by the meniscus. So it's there. Now what you want to do is to cap it and invert 10 times.
Hello everyone, my name is Miss Keitha Gooding Sampson, and I will be demonstrating how we can use the Chinese planogram
to teach 4 different grade levels using 4 concepts. The grade level that I will be focusing on are grade 3, 4, 5, and 6. Now, what is a Chinese tangram? A Chinese tangram is an Asian puzzle made from 7 flat geometric pieces called pans, and these pieces can be arranged to form various shapes. What can we use this Chinese tangram to teach at grade 3? At grade 3, we can use the Chinese tangram to teach plane shapes, where the pupils can identify the plane shapes found on the Chinese tangram. For example, they can identify the triangle. At grade 4, we can use the Chinese tangram to teach perimeter, and we know that perimeter is the distance around a closed shape. So they can calculate the perimeter of the triangle and of the square. So they'll be giving the size for each shapes, and they will calculate the perimeter. At grade 5, we can use the Chinese tangram to teach area. So the pupils will calculate the area for the triangles and also the square. So they'll be given the base and the height, and they will use that to calculate the area. At grade 6, we can use the Chinese tangram to teach line of symmetry, where the pupils can identify the line of symmetry formed on each shape. Now, I'll be showing you some pictures of how I construct this Chinese tangram.